Today we're going to begin the excretory system. Now this system has a lot involved with it, but I'm not going to go into every single little detail because that's kind of beyond the scope of this course. And even though I'd love to go in each little tiny detail, we're just going to go ahead and get the big picture. The excretory system has a specific structure and function. The body system that collects and removes the waste products produced by cells of the body is called your excretory system. So some of these waste products are urea, salts, uric acid. The organs and structures involved are the kidneys, ureter, bladder, and urethra. Some people say ureter, so it can be ureter or ureter. And secondary organs include skin, sweat glands, liver, and the lungs. Now we're going to talk about the kidney, ureter, bladder, and urethra. So the kidney is your filtering organ. We talked about this in the circulatory system a little bit. It helps to filter blood and removes toxic cellular wastes. It is located in your lower back and is enclosed by connective tissue called a capsule. And your kidneys are what help to produce urine. The ureter is just a tube. There's one from each kidney that drains urine from kidneys to the bladder, as you can see in this diagram here. So you've got kidneys, and then everyone has two kidneys unless for some reason you're born with only one. I knew a student who actually only has one kidney and he was just born with one. And this little tube goes all the way down to the bladder. And the bladder is a strong muscular organ that stores the urine until released from the body through the urethra. Also, side note, it is not good to hold your pee, so don't do that. That's really, really bad for your kidneys. And you can actually cause kidney failure if you do that for too long or for an extended period of time throughout your life. Not a good idea to constantly hold your pee. Urethra connects and passes stored urine out of the body. Kidney structure and function. So there's a part of the kidney called the cortex. I'm not going to go into all these things, but I did leave them in here in case you wanted to read in a little bit more detail about which each does. So the cortex, medulla, and pelvis are all different parts of the kidney structure and function. Your adrenal gland is actually located right here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about this before I move on. This is showing you what the inside of your kidney looks like. You can see it's pretty crazy looking. And there's something that I wanted to point out here. I'm trying to see if it's really in this picture. Not so much, but that's okay. I'll talk about the medulla a little bit. So you can see this little section. There's medulla, a bunch of medulla in each one of your kidneys. And that's basically just the inner part of the kidney there. And then you can see where the ureter is attached to the kidney. Nephrons. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so nephrons are the basic structure of the kidney. They're complex units consisting of arterioles, venules, and capillaries. We talked about arterioles, venules, and capillaries in our circulatory system lecture. But there's all kinds of different parts to a nephron. And those are things like the glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, loop of Henle, collecting tubules. So all of this stuff I learned in detail in college, and it was super fascinating. This class obviously is just a 7th grade life science class. I say just in the terms of, or I'm not going to make you learn like college level stuff here, don't worry. But I did want to mention these so you knew what these had to do with. So your nephron, glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, loop of Henle, collecting tubes, all have to do with your nephron. And the loop of Henle, this is a really cool structure. They call it a loop of Henle because it literally makes loops. But that thing is really, really important. But like I said, we're not going to go into all the details here, but I did want you to be familiar at least with these terms so that way when you hear them again in a high school class, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with those terms. They have to do with the nephron. All right, this again goes into a lot of detail, but I'm just going to mention what each one of these does real quick. So what is the function of the nephron? Well, the glomerulus leaks both good and bad materials into what's called the Bowman's capsule. So good materials are things like water, amino acids, and glucose, which you guys know is sugar. Some of the bad ones are urea, salts, excess water, and uric acid. This is all stuff that your body wants to excrete and get rid of. Now, the loop of Henle extends down into the renal medulla. Materials drain down into the loop. Dense capillary networks surround the loop and reabsorb good stuff. The bad stuff just continues down around the loop and dumps into the collecting tubule. So without the loop of Henle, your body wouldn't be able to get out the good stuff and get rid of, or keep the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff. So the loop of Henle is very important. Collecting tubules come together and drain the newly formed urine into the ureter, and the capillary network takes reabsorbed materials back into the venules and recirculates back to the body. So again, that kind of is an example of how different systems are interrelated. So the circulatory system, which we learned about last week, works hand in hand with the excretory system. Pretty cool. All right, that is the end of our excretory system PowerPoint. Now, like I said, the excretory system and let me go back here real quick, and the respiratory system are in the same chapter. That's why there was 2 PowerPoint lectures this week, but we're going to spend now a little bit of time on the excretory system, and next week we will begin fighting disease and the immune system, which the immune system is one of my favorite things to talk about.